and welcome to another episode of the Tar Heels Insider Podcast here on SI. I am your host, Grant Chachere, the lead beat writer on North Carolina Tar Heels on SI. I'm going to be bringing you all the latest news on North Carolina sports, football, basketball, baseball, daily right here on the On SI website. And we had some major news drop. And if you're a UNC fan or you're just an ACC fan, listen up. Because when I was reading this the other day, and actually I have an article released about it right here on the Tar Heels on SI website, your beloved Tar Heels may be leaving the ACC. This was some major news dropped by Inside Carolina, and it's absolutely mind-boggling. Of course, Inside Carolina reported that North Carolina, if they were to leave the ACC, it would be joining the SEC. This came from Adam Smith of Inside Carolina, and of course I'll also have my article out as well, giving my thoughts on this take, and really the same thoughts I'm going to have in my article are the same ones I'm going to have here. So to kind of explain it to you, North Carolina is targeting the SEC as their preferred conference if they were to leave the ACC. The conference's exit fees are scheduled to decline from $93 million in the 2029-30 academic year to a flat $75 million starting 2030. So from 2030 on, it will be a flat $75 million. This reduction would, figure to become an important final line of demarcation if the Tar Heels haven't made their departures sooner. Inside Carolina cited the March settlement to last year's lawsuit filed by Clemson and Florida State, challenging the conference exit fee and revenue distribution figures from the ACC for providing a substantial victory to member schools for exploring possible pathways towards leaving the conference and relocating to greener financial pastures. Inside Carolina also claimed that UNC Chancellor Lee Roberts secretly got involved in the behind-the-scenes negotiations between Clemson and Florida State and helped perform a key role in helping finalize the ACC settlements with the two schools. Per the ACC settlement terms, the league's exit fees go from $165 million this current academic year to $147 million in 2026 and 2027. That number will drop again to $129 million in 2027, the 2027-2028 academic year, $111 million in 2028 and 2029, before dropping under the $100 million threshold beginning in 2029 per Inside Carolina's report. And so this won't happen until 2030, so it's nothing immediate. That this is something to look out for as you get closer and closer to getting under that $100 million threshold. Of course, when it gets to $75 million, it becomes a flat $75 million, and that becomes a lot more manageable than the $165 million from this year, for this upcoming year, and then, of course, the $147 million in the 2026-2027 academic/athletic year. And I understand that a lot of people may think that this is far-fetched, and I know this is coming from me as a guy who grew up in SEC country, a guy who went to LSU, and all the whole 9 yards. And I get that I may be the wrong person. I just joined the ACC family, but you have to look at this from this perspective, coming from a guy who grew up in the SEC, but also a guy who is very familiar with what not only the Tar Heels, the athletic program, stand for, but what the university stands for. What makes North Carolina so appealing to not even just the SEC, but also the Big Ten, is that it is an academic institution that preaches academic excellence, but also preaches athletic excellence. no other athletic program in the ACC has won more national championships than North Carolina. I'm not counting Stanford. I know Stanford's won more, but Stanford traditionally is a Pac-10, Pac-8 slash Pac-10 slash Pac-12 school. That's the history expansion right there. But they're one of the original 8 members of what was the Pacific 8 Conference. You know, with Oregon State, Washington, and Washington State, and of course Cal, Stanford, UCLA, and USC. And then of course they added the 2 Arizona schools in the 70s. It was the Pac-10 for a very long time. And of course Utah and Colorado joined in 2011. But yeah, there's that. Yeah, North Carolina, nobody's won more national championships than North Carolina of the original members of the ACC. Not only that, you have excellence elsewhere. And one of the big requirements to join the Big Ten and the SEC is that you take football seriously. Look at the last 2 hires that North Carolina's had in the football program. Mac Brown basically brought him out of retirement, Hall of Fame coach, brought him out of retirement to bring the program back to being a competitive force in the ACC. They did that. He had a pretty successful time at UNC. I know it was a little bit up and down, but 2 ACC championships. Well, he went to the Orange Bowl. That was the first time UNC has been to a New Year's Six Bowl in who knows how long. And then on top of that, you were able to go to the ACC championship in 2022. And of course, you had 2 great, outstanding quarterbacks in Sam Howell and Drake May. So that's a pretty successful time at UNC, considering the fact that near the end of the Fedora era, it went downhill really quickly. In 2015, they're a 1-loss team going to the ACC championship, and then 2 years later, they're one of the worst teams in the ACC. Mac Brown did a great job there. Then you fire Mac Brown because it just didn't work out near the end, and you didn't meet expectations. So what do? You hire Bill Belichick. Who would have thought that UNC would hire Bill Belichick of all people? We all thought that Bill Belichick was still trying to coach professionally, but apparently not. He took the job, and UNC, they look like they could be kind of a dark horse program going into this football season. And yes, they do have some holes, but you have a great coaching staff. You have an experienced defense. I think that defense will improve because the amount of guys brought in through the transfer portal. Also, you have some key veterans coming back on the defense side of the ball as well. You have an outstanding quarterback in Gio Lopez. There's a lot of things that could contribute to what this program could really be under Bill Belichick. And on top of that, there's a lot of hype around the program. Tickets are sold out. They were sold out. Not only for the season tickets, but they're sold out in general. So there's a lot of hype and excitement around this program. That's what North Carolina wanted. They wanted people to be excited about football. And the way things are changing with sports, with NIL and the revenue sharing, you need football to be as successful as possible. And what better way to do it than hire 2 outstanding coaches, especially one who has won 6 Lombardi trophies as an NFL head coach. Then you look at the AD hire, right? Who did they hire as the AD? And this really should tell you not only just who they hire in the football program, but look who they hire as the AD. Bubba Cunningham will step down in 2026, and his replacement is Steve Newmark. Steve Newmark was the CEO of RFK Racing, so he was in charge of a NASCAR racing company, a professional sports entity, and he will now become the AD of your University of North Carolina. But also here's the thing: he's a Chapel Hill guy, so he knows the university really well, growing up here. But not only that, he's used to change. He was part of a group that helped create NASCAR's charter system and has acted as a liaison between the teams and NASCAR on major industry initiatives. Over the past decade. Before joining RFK Racing, he was a partner at the Charlotte-based law firm Robson, Bradshaw, and Henson, where he specialized in sports and entertainment law. and worked with extensively with the SEC, Conference USA, and the NCAA. So he's not only very familiar with the changing landscapes of sports and negotiating deals, but he's also a guy who understands, the rules in regards to the NCAA. And I think that's very important for UNC, not only as you go into a new age in college athletics, but also if you're trying to move to the SEC. Moreover, going away from football, guess what the SEC is investing heavily in? Basketball. Right now, the best basketball conference in college basketball is the SEC. The SEC's always been a solid basketball conference, right? You have Florida, you have Kentucky. They've always had a solid. LSU's had some great years. I mean, they've always had a successful conference. I know you can say, well, it's just Kentucky, but in reality, I mean, they had a few really good teams. And I mean, South Carolina, who was kind of an afterthought in the SEC, made it to the Final Four one year. I mean, Auburn has really elevated his program. I mean, Ole Miss has started to put money into his program. Alabama, you're starting to see put money into their program. And they just went to the Final Four. So, the SEC is really invested in basketball. And to add, a top 3 basketball brand into your conference in UNC? I mean, it is. I mean, besides Kentucky, I know there's UCLA, Kentucky, and Duke, but North Carolina is a major brand. That's probably the Mount Rushmore of college basketball brands. You can make a case for it. They've won 6 national championships. They've been to the most Final Fours in NCAA history. That's a very attractive thing that that any conference will want to be a part of. And the SEC, why not bring in UNC for basketball? You already know they can be somewhat competitive in football, but you also know that they can be highly successful in the SEC. Moreover, baseball. The SEC is a major baseball conference. 7 of the last 8 national championship teams, 7 of the 8 last College World Series champions have resided in the SEC. This past year, LSU won it. It was the second in 3 years. The year before this year, Tennessee won in 2024. Florida won it. It's first started with Florida. Florida won in 2017. Arkansas actually made it to the national championship game, but they lost. Then Vanderbilt won in 2019. 2020 there was no baseball season because of COVID. 2021 Mississippi State won it. Then Ole Miss won it the next year. Then LSU. Then Tennessee. Then LSU this past season. It is a dominant baseball conference. The SEC wants to be the best conference of baseball year in and year out. If you talk to any college baseball coach in the SEC or really just around the country, they will more than likely say the SEC is the best conference. Even if you don't think it, you can't deny that the SEC is one of the best conferences for college baseball in the country. And North Carolina has a fairly successful baseball program. They've made it to the College World Series 12 times. 12 times in their history. They've also were a 2-time national runner-up back-to-back in 2006 and 2007. This is a proud baseball program that resides in Chapel Hill. They've made it to 8 College World Series. They've been to 12 College World Series, but they've made 8 times since 2006. That stands out. All 3 of the programs, the big 3 programs to talk about, football, basketball, and baseball, have all had success in the last 25 years. So, it makes sense why the SEC is intrigued by UNC. And I don't think it stops there. I think if let's say they were to add 4 teams, North Carolina will be a part of that. I don't know how big I don't know how many teams they want in the conference. I'm not sure if they just want 2, if they want 4. I don't know. I don't even know what college football is going to look like. College sports is going to look like the next 5 years. But what I do know is that UNC is an attractive brand, not only to the SEC, but to the Big Ten. And look, there's been some rumors that UNC was kind of part of that discussion, along with Florida State and Clemson, and I believe Virginia was I think it was Miami and Virginia, one of those two. We're going to be a part of the discussion to leave the ACC. The fact that this news got dropped by Inside Carolina, who, of course, are one of the few entities that are close to North Carolina athletics. They've been doing this forever. For them, that's a very credible report. A very, very credible report. And if you're a North Carolina fan, I know a lot of you guys, and of course, I want to see North Carolina stay in the ACC. I really do. But unfortunately, you have to follow the money because UNC doesn't want to be left out like Oregon State and Washington State were to the Pac-12. Yes, I understand that North Carolina is a much, much, much better athletic program than Oregon State and Washington State combined, but they want to leave before things go to, sugar honey iced tea. So, yes, you can say, well, North Carolina can never leave the ACC. Cal, Stanford, and SMU are in the ACC. No one expected that. Nobody expected Maryland to join the Big Ten. Nobody expected Syracuse and Pitt to leave the Big East. Well, I mean, they were. I mean, because, of course. Watch Rec Room of the Big East on 30 for 30. Explain it to you. Because they focused too much on basketball. That's what led to the demise of the Big East. Because they focused on basketball rather than football. I'm not saying that's the main reason, but it was a key reason. But then also, nobody expected Texas and Oklahoma to join the SEC. No one expected USC and UCLA to leave the Pac-12 with the Big Ten, although the Pac-12 is going to crap. That was a huge reason why. They had to leave, because they saw what was happening in the Pac-12. And if UNC sees that with the ACC, they're going to jump ship. And I don't think anybody will blame them. Which is why I think this year is this has to be a big year for the ACC. You need, the ACC to really stand. You need at least 2 or 3 teams in the playoff this year for college football. Of course, they're gonna have a lot of success in basketball for the ACC. I think that's going to happen, right? Because the ACC has always been phenomenal at basketball. But you need at least 2 or 3. You need at least 2 teams that make the college football playoff. Yes, you did that last year, but you need people. But you need more teams to be highly successful in college football, especially Clemson. You need Clemson to beat LSU. You need South Carolina to beat. You need South Carolina. I forgot who South Carolina. Well, not South Carolina. I forgot who plays South Carolina. But you go and say there's a lot of hot marquee matchups that will involve ACC teams this year, and if you want the ACC to stick together, you need some of those ACC teams to knock off those teams. For example, you have Georgia Tech versus Colorado. You want Georgia Tech to win that one. You want Clemson to be LSU. You want Syracuse to be Tennessee. You want Florida State to be Alabama. You want Cal to be Oregon State. You want Virginia Tech to be South Carolina. You want Miami to beat Notre Dame. And you want, of course, I think you all want the Tar Heels to beat TCU. You need to win your marquee matchups. You need to win your marquee matchups against other programs across the country in different conferences. You need to show supremacy. I know you're not going to show complete supremacy, but you need to show supremacy if you want the ACC to stick together. Because you need to show that the ACC is a serious conference. If you don't, ask the Pac-12 what happened when you didn't want to become a serious conference. But anyway, that's going to wrap up the show today. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at Tar Heels on SI. You can also follow us on Facebook as well. You can also follow me on Twitter as well. It's my last name, first name. Of course, Grant Chachere, Chachere Grant. So make sure to do that. This guy's going to wrap up today's show. I'll see you guys next time. And we'll be right back here tomorrow.